On a sweltering Saturday night in Portland, Oregon, Portland Timbers 2 plays at home for the final time in its inaugural season, hosting Sacramento Republic FC. Good evening and welcome to Providence Park, not Merlo Field. I'm Jake Zivin, joined tonight by Ross Smith for the T2 home finale. Portland Timbers 2 eliminated from the playoffs with a loss last week. They know their final match will be on Wednesday at LA Galaxy 2. But Ross, still a lot to play for tonight for these guys.
Yeah, well, I was always told as a player that think of yourself as a stock. And every time you step on the pitch, make sure that your stock is rising. You have the personal pride. And so that's your internal motivation. Every time you step on the pitch, you should want to do well for yourself, perform well for yourself in it, make sure you come away feeling good. But if you need the external motivation, you've got the fans, you've got the Timber Army, you've got Providence Park, you've the settings all there, and then you've got the eyes watching, people watching on the live stream, YouTube, but you've got the first team coach, Caleb Porter. He'll be watching. His team, first team isn't playing tonight, so you guarantee he's going to be watching, looking at the talent that's available to him, not only for the Portland Timbers, but Sacramento Republic. Guys on that team will be looking to make the next step, whether it's with their own club, making MLS sometime, or whether it's to another club. Tons of opportunities to impress tonight.
And that not the only motivation that Sacramento Republic has. They are trying to win the USL Western Conference regular season crown. We'll break down what this match means for Sacramento Republic, starting lineups and kickoff between T2 and Sac Republic after the national anthem. This match so big for Sacramento Republic FC. We told you T2 eliminated from the playoffs. Sac Republic in a fight for the Western Conference regular season title. They're in 5th place right now, but have 3 games, including tonight, left to play. That's a game in hand over everybody above them. Colorado Springs and Oklahoma City are playing right now. They're in stoppage time, tied 3-3. If Colorado Springs does not win that match, then Sacramento Republic knows that they can win out and win the USL Western Conference regular season crown, which would give them home field advantage throughout the playoffs. So important for a team that draws over 11,000 fans per match in Sacramento. 6 teams make the playoffs in the USL, so the Portland Timbers, too, eliminated from playoff contention. Starting lineups for tonight's match will begin with T2, coached by Jay Vidovich and Ross. You look in the attack, you see Gianderson and Espria, 2 guys from the first team. But in the back, another first-teamer, Anthony Manning at center back, that I know you really like.
He's a towering figure, and I've looked everything I've seen of Anthony Manning so far this year. He's got a presence on the pitch. He likes to go in for challenges. He likes to win the ball in the air. For me, he's shown a lot of growth this year, and he's a promising center back for the future of the Timbers. Andy Toma, he's another one. He joins in the first team training. He impresses. He can get up the pitch. Very good 1v1 going forward and defending 1v1 at the back. So I know with those 2 players in particular on that back line, they have impressed. Big expectations from them.
Tim Payne starting at center back today, just 5'9". That'll be something to watch as well. The starting lineup for Sacramento Republic FC, a very familiar name included in this group, Ross. Rodrigo Lopez in the midfield. Your former teammate, played for the Timbers from 2009 to 2011, the guy who pulls the strings for Sacramento.
Oh, Lopez, Roro, as everybody knows him as. He's that type of player, as soon as you mention his name, he brings a smile to your face. You never hear somebody say a bad word of Roro. He's such as his character. But on the pitch, very technical, very tidy player that he'll have the freedom to go where he likes, to get his foot on the ball, to create. And he'll have the bit between his teeth tonight, coming back to Providence Park, back to Portland. As a player, talk about your start. You always want to impress, but even more so for him tonight. He wants to come back and just remind everybody what a talent he was.
Spent 2009, 2010 here with the USL side. 2011, the inaugural MLS season for the Portland Timbers. Rodrigo Lopez, a member of that squad as well. Now coming back to what was his home venue for 3 seasons here at Providence Park. Scored that memorable goal against Boca Juniors in a friendly when he was on the Timbers. 9 goals, 5 assists this season for Sac Republic. The reigning USL Championship game MVP from last season. Sac Republic is coached by Paul Buckle, who took over for Preki in mid-July. A 3-1-2 record since taking over, unbeaten in his last 4 as Sac Republic on a 2-game win streak as well. They've really started to play well as we get towards the end of the 2015 USL regular season. Farhad Dadko is our referee. These 2 teams ready to get underway at Providence Park, the final home match of the 2015 season for Portland Timbers 2, and we are now underway from Providence Park. Jay Vidovich said before the match, he told us yesterday, Ross, he wanted to see from his team, do they go to work as a professional, or do they say, whatever, we're out of it, the season's over, we're not going to make the playoffs? He wants to see how his guys are going to respond as young professionals being in this situation for the first time.
Well, you couldn't wrap your head around a player who would think otherwise. I think that this is a day off because there is so much at stake in the match. And I mentioned as a player, you want that personal pride, but you also know that the first team coach, Caleb Porter, but right the way through the leagues, such as the exposure that's all of soccer across North America is getting now, you never know who's watching. You never know what a 10-minute spell could do, what a 90-minute spell could do, but all of a sudden you impress, and you never know.
It maybe wasn't always this way, but Jay Vidovich told me, he said, I tell my players, your resume's on YouTube. These matches live forever. Anybody can log in from anywhere in the world and watch them play. So one bad game, one match kind of phoning it in, and everyone's going to be able to see that. Sac Republic coming forward now after a giveaway from Portland Timbers 2. This is Rodrigo Lopez. Now out wide to James Kiffey. Sac Republic, meanwhile, with everything to play for, trying to win the USL Western Conference regular season crown. Ivan Mirkovic, right side to Emra Clementa. Danny Barrera keeps it in. Lopez. Sac Republic with a good bout of possession in the 2nd minute of this match. Justin Braun back to Clementa. Blair Gavin slides in. It's out for a Sac Republic throw. Blair Gavin, the captain for T2's first season. A guy who can has the experience to match some of these Sac Republic players. This is a more experienced Sacramento side than T2. It's been the situation all year for T2 when they played against full-fledged USL teams.
Well, right, the way you see the experience from Sacramento Republic coming into Providence Park and getting control of the ball, dictating the tempo of the match. Good spell of possession. Timbers just need to put on the foot on the ball, take a breath, work the ball around, but you see the high pressing from Sacramento Republic early on.
These two teams have played twice before this season, but it's been a long time, 5 months almost since they met. They played twice in April, including the second ever match for T2 at Merlot Field, and haven't played since. T2 won the first match at home on April 2nd, 2-1. A late Stephen Evans goal was the difference. Stephen Evans, of course, no longer with T2. Andy Toma comes forward, looks for Carlton Belmar in the box. It's sent clear by Mickey Daly.
Very strong run by Andy Toma there. Talked about him in the opening, the way he can get forward one-on-one. Doesn't mind going at you, getting to the end line, just across. Didn't beat the first man there, but you need that. When you're under the cosh, as Sacramento Republic are coming out, you need that release button, and Andy Toma he gave in that situation.
He's played a little bit at right back this season. Naturally, a left-footed player, had never played on the right side in any sort of organized fashion in his career, as Anthony Manning does well to step in and take it off of Justin Braun. But at left back tonight, Jay Vidovich told me about that decision. He wanted Andy Toma in these final 2 USL games to get some confidence heading into the USL offseason, playing in a more comfortable role. At times, playing on the right side, it wasn't as comfortable as he is on the left side. You expect that from a left-footed player who'd never played on the right side before. He was kind of forced into that role because of a depth of left-sided players in this organization. Gets to play in his natural spot tonight.
It's good stuff by the Timbers. It's a couple times now that Fisher, he's had a man tight on him and he's gotten himself out of situations. Very tidy early on, and it's resulted in this nice spell for the Timbers.
Just the 3rd game for Devon Fisher in his T2 career. Was signed in August. Played for the Timbers under 23s this summer. It's a great ball over the top. Justin Braun is onside. Braun alone, back post, cleared off the line by Tim Payne. Back to Braun. Still there maybe for Sac Republic. Barrera into the box. Gleason off his line, punches and gets back on it.
Great goalkeeping by Jake Gleason, who's another one with tremendous talent. I think so much of him as a goalie for his athleticism, the way he's matured as a player in his time as a Timber. But going back just before then, that Braun, he was through on goal, and maybe I don't know why he stepped up. He should have followed his runner. If you're not absolutely certain that you can pull the offside trap, I always feel you go with the runners. And there, he gambled, and it didn't come off. And Braun was through on goal there, but couldn't find the way through at the end. Gleason getting that all-important touch.
Jake Gleason, 25 years old. Started for the Timbers in their first ever MLS match here at Providence Park. Played 4 times, 3 times as a starter that first year. Sac Republic coming forward, threatening Jake Gleason's net again, but Lopez plays it back out to Clementa, back to Rodrigo Lopez. Almost lost it on the line. Clementa gets it back for Sac Republic, and then Clementa loses it, and Gleason is going to collect for T2. Jake played 4 times in 2011 when the team was hit with the injury bug at goalkeeper, and did quite well for the Timbers as a really young player. Hasn't gotten back onto the pitch in MLS since then.
I've always thought that Gleason, he was a tremendous shot stopper. His reactions, his size alone, his frame, when you're down on the pitch and you're looking at him, he gives very little away and he can get to things, but it's the way he's rounded his complete game. Now the way he can control his box, he's very comfortable with the ball at his feet, coming for crosses. He really has developed into that all-around goalkeeper that I think still has plenty of time ahead of him. He's still a youngster when you think about it. He's been around the club for so long. You wouldn't consider him a veteran, but he's got so much to go at such a young age.
Still just 25 years old, which for a goalkeeper is young. Goalkeepers, of course, are thought to hit their prime a little bit later than field players. Jake Gleason knows the Sac Republic team very well, played for them last year on loan from the Timbers when Sac Republic was the Timbers USL affiliate. Of course, T2 didn't exist last year, hence the need for that. Gleason helped lead Sac Republic to the USL championship a year ago.
It's a good win by Payne. He was just dropped off, just watching that line. I think they're just trying to figure out their distances as of the start of the match. Do they press too high? Make sure they drop off and there's no pressure on the ball. And just there, they got it right. They stayed a nice cohesive unit where the warning sign was there in the first few minutes where Brown has gone through.
A new spot for Tim Payne, playing at center back. Has never played there before in the professional level. He's naturally a holding midfielder. But with injuries to Renico Clark and Harrison Delbridge, Taylor Pay unavailable, T2 down to really a fifth choice center back. And that's Tim Payne. Someone needed to do it. Tim Payne stepped in. Jay Vidovich told me he thought that Payne has the personality, the leadership, the intelligence to succeed at center back. Not the typical physical traits of a center back, just listed at 5'11", 175. So far has done well. Picks out Fatau. Through to Dairon Asprilla. Asprilla gets to Belmar, who tries a shot, almost took Dominic Jakubek off guard, but he made the save.
Good play from the Timbers, getting the ball into Fatau, that number 10 position. He's just dropped into that hole, and he's just spun it around to Belmar, who's looking to get himself in to get his shot away.
Took a deflection. Jakubek was ready for it. Fisher defending, keeps it away from Stewart. Fisher got the last touch. Stewart's calling for an indirect kick in the box, but Farhad Datko waves it off.
I tell you what, I thought the referee had reason to blow up there. Stewart, he was looking for the referee to blow the whistle because I didn't think it was a pass back. I thought Fisher knew what he was doing, but by the time that Gleason had a chance to react, he was already in the process of picking the ball up. Fortunate not to get the call.
And for Jake Gleason, what else are you going to do in that situation? T2 coming forward. Taken away by Sac Republic. And now Sac coming forward. Justin Braun touched through. Anthony Manning runs him over. And a free kick coming for Sac Republic.
T2 are having a difficult time in the middle of the park at the moment, just getting to grips with Sacramento Republic as the numbers are coming in and out of the midfield. Players for T2 not knowing who to pick up. Beasler, he's got to get a hold of the midfield. Blair Gavin, the same, and Braun, a few times now. He's just coming off that back line. He's able to pick the ball and then run at the back four. Or if the back four are too high up, he's getting the runs in behind. So the organization isn't quite there so far.
Opportunity now for Sac Republic. Maybe a little too far out to put a shot on goal, about 35 yards away. Rodrigo Lopez over the ball. He's going to send this into the box. Tim Payne wins the header. Out to Kiffey. And Asprilla brings down Kiffey on the edge of the area. Another free kick coming for Sac Republic, again in a dangerous spot.
Yeah, very little complaint from Asprilla as he throws a leg in. Kiffey, nice little bit of skill as he just gets the touch right before the challenge from Asprilla comes in. Draws the contact.
Now a difficult spot, I think, to defend a free kick.
Well, Roro Lopez, this was his specialty. Dead ball, set piece situations. 9 times out of 10, he's putting it where he wants to.
9 goals, 5 assists this season for Sac Republic. Had 10 and 8 a year ago. Directing his teammates, Rodrigo Lopez sends it low into the box, and Nick Beasler took care of it, got it clear.
Decent enough free kick, but I just think you get it up, you want to test the back line, and when you don't hit that first man, and Beasler gets in a good area, good positioning to get good contact for the clearance, but Roro, I know himself, he should be doing better.
Fatau takes it off of Roro. Blair Gavin, left side. Asprilla has floated over to the left. Gianderson has moved to the right, at least momentarily. Dairon Asprilla wanted to play for T2. He asked to be out here tonight. in his second match for T2. Thomas Stewart deflects. Chance for Rodrigo Lopez, and he buries it. What a strike from Rodrigo Lopez on the pitch he used to call home. And it's 1-0 Sac Republic in the 13th minute.
Well, what a hit this was by Lopez. But again, it's Stewart and Braun linking up as they work their area, and the ball comes to Lopez. And look how he just controls the body. He knows he has time. He just has to provide that finishing touch with the contact, and it sits nicely for him. Right on his favored right peg. And he blasts it past Gleason, who has no chance at all.
The fans here at Providence Park are used to seeing that from Rodrigo Lopez. That's his 10th goal of the season, double digits in USL play for the second straight year. T2 now in an early 1-goal.
Well, he controlled his body so nice. He knew the pace was on the ball, that he just had to make sure that the contact was there. You can see a couple of yards as he's approaching it. He was just getting his shape right, just getting his balance there. And his technique took him through.
You'll often see those opportunities sent deep into the Timbers army. Lopez able to keep it on net. Not really anything Jake Gleason could do. T2 now looking for a response. When they conceded first to Sacramento Republic on April 2nd, they scored a minute and a half later to tie the match up. That was later on in the match, in the second half. What will the response be tonight? Barrera, Lopez, great movement from Sac Republic. The flag is up.
Sacramento Republic have shown that quality on the ball. The last thing you want to do when you see a team that wants to possess the control in the game is to give it straight back to him when you've won it. And Asprilla is poor by his standard. And the ball, he's just trying to bounce it into Beasler, and it's nowhere near. Expect your sort of mature players, your first team players to come in and dominate and take a hold of these matches, as we've seen to George Fashive when he's come to T2. He's bossed the game, and that's what you expect from the players like a G. Anderson or Asprilla, to show the regular T2 players what the standard is, what it takes to get to that next step.
Asprilla did that in his previous appearance with T2 on August 22nd against Tulsa. Just came away with an assist, didn't get a goal, but was named the USL Team of the Week. He was so influential in that match on the right side. Still plenty of time for him to make that kind of impact tonight. Fatau on the ground looking for G. Anderson. Falls harmlessly to Jakubek.
Just haven't quite seen enough of Belmar as of yet. A couple balls that have gone into him. Hasn't really been tidy in his hold-up play. It's a good run from him in the channel just to try and pull the center backs out, but just need more of that. Need to get him more involved.
Flag up. Thomas Stewart was offside. Carlton Belmar, 12 goals this season. Started out on such a hot streak, 3 goals in the first 2 matches, including one against Sac Republic. Has been pretty consistent throughout the season, getting goals here and there. You know, he would love to finish off his 2015 slate here at home with at least a goal in front of this crowd. Toma overlaps. Anderson takes it inside. Now plays it back to Toma. It's Fatau. Looking for the feet of Belmar, and that space closed down so quickly by Sacramento.
The two of them haven't quite been able to connect with one another, just trying to get those passes, linking up the combination play to find a way through. To say the center of the midfield so far for Sacramento Republic, Cazares, it's done well just to sit in to make sure that you can break things up.
Stewart trying to turn around Tim Payne. Comes away with it. Justin Braun. Out wide for Danny Barrera. He's going to run at Andy Toma. Blair Gavin broke it up. Fatah will try to start the break for T2. Asprilla has space on the right side, now cuts it back. Was looking, I think, to play it into the feet of Belmar. Again, that space was closed down quickly. Now it's Fisher, the right back, coming forward. And Lopez putting in some defensive work. Takes it away. Rather, Cazares takes it away. And it's out for a goal kick.
A bit better from the Timbers there, getting forward, but Asprilla, when he was on the ball, just looked up to try and find Belmar, and he was on the other side of the pitch. He was trying to get across, and he just hadn't read the progression of the play, and in the end, no, they worked the area.
Some space for Gianderson to come forward. Cuts back and loses it. Goes down. No call.
Mirkovic did well just to make sure that Gianderson couldn't get onto his favorite left peg.
And again, Sac Republic stretching the field. Justin Braun. Braun cuts to the byline, plays it to the back post. Nobody's there. Fisher will run it down. Rather, Asprilla runs it down for T2.
Get a sense there's a lack of communication along the back line. Right now, when you see a Braun pulling off, when you see a Stewart getting into space, what that tells me is players aren't communicating, particularly the centre backs, letting their teammates know who's going to go in, who's going to go tight, who's going to drop off, because they're doing neither.
Maybe one of the perils of having a guy playing center back for the first time. Tim Payne was in training as a center back this week, working with this group, but had played as a holding midfielder the entire season. Chemistry not quite there. Maybe a little understandable. Again, Sac Republic takes the ball away, this time from Gianderson.
Look at Anthony Manning and the match that we called together here against Newcastle, and I thought he had such a terrific performance. And that should be your standard every single time coming out. And for him, his size, his player, how commanding he is, he should be bossing this match. He should be going through that striker, Braun, right from the start, sending a message. Because I tell you what, his framework is such that you'd be intimidated. Ball's in the air now, striker, you're coming off, and you know an Anthony Manning with his size is coming through you. You're going to think twice about going for those balls. You start to, what I call turtle up, start to duck that head because you know the big man's coming through.
He's 6'4", 200 pounds. Missed a couple months this season. It's been a tough first year for him, I think because of that. Suffered a concussion in May. And then wasn't able to play for 2 months. Has only played now in, this is his 14th match in USL play. But a member of the Timbers of the first team. Was a third round draft pick in this year's Super Draft. Clementa unhappy with the call. No real beef there. Looked to be a clear foul on Danny Barrera. Big switch from Tim Payne. Finds Andy Toma. Asprilla comes inside, loses it. Lopez takes it away. Rather, it was Cazares who took it away. Now here's Lopez. Barrera gets it over to Clementa. Emra Clementa assists in 2 straight for Sac Republic. Switch fields over to the left side.
So fluid at the moment, Sacramento Republic. It's because not only is their quality on the ball, but it's the movement and the runs coming off it. You see Lopez, he starts out on the left. We chatted about it in the opening, how he can go where he likes. And that makes it very difficult for a defending team when you see players that you're not recognizing coming in and out of your area. You get confused. You need that communication of, okay, well, who do I go to? You need the voice coming from behind you just to sort things out.
Yeah, they look like a team that has been playing together for a while and has been playing well together for a while. Veteran group, a lot of these guys out there tonight, member of the team last year that won the USL championship. Stewart is offside. He was one of them. Scored 11 goals last year, Thomas Stewart. Led the team in scoring in the USL regular season. Only 3 this year. Has missed some matches. Hasn't developed the same rhythm this year as he had a year ago. Beasler plays the ball behind Asprilla. And it's out for a Sac Republic throw. Again, Sac Republic wins it in the midfield. Lopez. Braun. Mirkovic to Lopez. Thought about a shot, instead leaves it for Barrera. Manning took it away momentarily. Barrera got it back. Gavin slides in, still there for Sac Republic. Braun goes around Asprilla and is called for the foul.
Well, for me, it all goes back to Fatal, where he has a chance to solidify possession. Ball comes into him, just takes too long to dwell on the ball. Tackle comes in, and all of a sudden, Sacramento they're back on the ball. Asprilla does well to get back, and Braun pulls him to the ground.
Beasler over the top looking for Belmar. Daly played it out wide, throw-in coming for T2. Here's Fatal. Oh, lost it again. Has not had his best 25 minutes of the season so far tonight. Lopez on the left side. Fisher pokes it out, gives up the throw. Lopez was trying to spring Kiffy with the back heel. Asprilla got there first. Mirkovic. Stewart wide to Kiffy. Down the line for Thomas Stewart. Back to Kiffy. Space for Lopez in the midfield. He wants another. This one curls wide of the net.
They are working the area so well. Again, it's the movement, it's the crispness in the passing that's getting themselves into these areas, into the space. And again, Lopez, as he's going to goal from 25 yards out, he's got time to get a strike away. And I'm just looking at the T2, Gavin in particular in that instance. He's putting his arms behind his back, and I'm thinking, shut him down. He's just banged in a goal. It's 1-0. Get out to him, get a tackle, get a block, put your body on the line. You don't give somebody like that who's already shown you what he can do time from 25 yards out to have a dig.
Yeah, it's probably not the guy you want to see over the ball in that kind of situation if you're T2. Jakubek off his line. Collects, takes his time. Dominic Jakubek, 36 years old, has had quite the career. In his second season with Sac Republic, played about half the matches last year for Sacramento when Jake Gleason wasn't there. Gleason was the first choice keeper, but would, of course, come back to Portland for U.S. Open Cup play, CONCACAF Champions League play a year ago. So Jakubek played in 14 matches for Sac Republic last year in USL play. Made his first start this year last week. Patrick McLean, the normal keeper, was injured and was unable to play against Vancouver. And McLean's still out tonight. There's no backup keeper on the bench for Sacramento tonight. Sac Republic obviously hoping that Jakubek doesn't get injured or red carded. It would be quite an adventure if either of those things happen. Guess we would get to find out who their emergency keeper is. But really quite the career Jakubek has had. We'll talk about that in a moment as Stewart shot his block. Now Kiffey coming into the box. Gavin gets it out to Espria, who does well to keep it in play. And now Fisher just bangs it towards midfield. Jakubek played in 2004 through 2006 with the California Cougars, an indoor team. On the Columbus Crew actually in 2006, didn't play in MLS. Played in the Polish 3rd division for a couple seasons in the early part of this decade as a field player. And is now back in Sacramento as a goalkeeper. And I don't know if he got a touch there. If he did, it was a great save.
Well, don't know how he's not getting a booking as the way he's charged out to the ref. At any other game, you see goalkeeper sprinting 20 yards to have a word with the ref. Calls for a booking.
There were 2 balls on the field, and I think what Sacramento was upset about is that the referee let the play go on even though there were 2 balls on the field. The second one was about 15 yards in on this near side. Lopez is offside, the flag is up. So upset that that chance was even allowed to materialize, Sacramento was.
But you should always be switched on. I always say you always play to the whistle. That's soccer 101. You wait for the referee to blow up the whistle. It was a tremendous ball by Gavin that found Giannisson in the space. And did he take it down nicely? His first touch was put him into his path. It was a fantastic strike on goal that Djokovic made. A great tip save around the corner.
And they ended up giving them a goal kick, so it did look like there was a touch from the keeper. It wasn't given. Maybe in the end, all fair for Sac Republic, at least in their mind. Manning to Gianderson. Will that half chance from T2 spark things? Hasn't been much in the attack for T2 in the first 30 minutes of this match. Payne, another diagonal ball looking for Gianderson. Unable to bring this one down, but he keeps it in play.
Terrific. What a terrific ball by Payne. A few times now where he's sprayed it either out to Toma or Giannisson when he's maybe a little bit deeper line, Giannisson, but in that situation he's seeing that he can catch Clemente out, and he got into space. He just needed that first touch the way he showed when Gavin gave him a similar ball.
Tim Payne, one of a few players on this team with international experience. Just 21 years old, still a member of the New Zealand national team. He was actually overseas last weekend. Played on Monday against Myanmar for New Zealand. 13 minutes in that match. As you see another look of the foul on Blair Gavin.
He knows himself. He's just come through the back of Gavin.
Rundle Winchester, another guy who's gotten some games with his country this year. Gavin on the free kick into the box. Jakubek off his line, strong hands. Went right on the head, I think, the top of the head of Anthony Manning to make that catch. Gavin again, diagonal looking for Espria. Kiffey gets his head to it. It's not out of danger for Sac Republic. Fatau coming into the box. Spins, leaves for Gavin. Gavin had to go over and get it, play it out wide to Toma. Now Gianderson to the back post, nobody's there. Beasler will run it down, keep it into Fisher. Fisher sends it into the box. And clear by Sacramento. Better from T2 though offensively.
Sense of lift by the Timbers. Ever since that ball from Gavin went to the Giannis, and all of a sudden it seems to have picked up the confidence. They see that there is a way through against Sacramento Republic, and now guys are wanting on the ball, guys are making runs.
Espria got his chest to it, but Kiffy does very well to get away from Espria. Now Cazares. Barrera on the right side. Stewart is onside, flag stays down. Thomas Stewart's shot is blocked by Anthony Manning.
Recovered well, Manning, as soon as that ball went beyond them, got himself back.
Justin Braun, a second for Sacramento. Miscommunication in the back. Gleason came charging. Braun got there first, and it's a second goal for Sacramento in the celebration from Justin Braun. A little jab at Timber Joey, pretending to chop down the corner flag.
Well, it's a terrific ball as it's pulled back, and Braun getting into that area where he just needs to steer the ball beyond Gleason, who, as he goes back, will know himself. He should have done better. If keeper's going to come, you got to get it. Gleason saw that perhaps the back line was in trouble with Braun, just drifting in behind, and he just had to guide that beautiful ball, weighted in beyond Gleason into the open goal.
When we talked to Jay Vidovich yesterday, this is exactly how he described how Sacramento likes to play. They like to come out and press and get an early goal, which they did, and then maybe sit back a little bit, absorb, and get another one on a quick counter, and that's exactly what they've done tonight. Just as T2 settled into things a little bit, maybe was beginning to feel good about themselves. Well, we could have a third. Braun alone on Gleason, and it is a third. It's all going wrong for T2 in the first half, as Justin Braun has made it 3-0 for Sacramento just 35 minutes in. A couple minutes ago, we thought T2's settling down. They can maybe get back in this match, and now it's a tall, tall task for Portland Timbers too.
Well, he's taken both goals so well, so calm, but it all comes out from a mistake for Blair Gavin. He gives the ball away cheaply. Don't know what he saw, but he gives it right to Braun, who's feeling good after his goal, and just that composure. We'll wait to see, and Gleason comes out of his goal, trying to narrow down the angle, and at the last second, pulls the trigger. Braun, as it goes beyond for a second goal, takes it with ease.
And not much Jake Gleason could do there. Justin Braun played 5 seasons in Major League Soccer, scored 26 goals with Chivas USA, Montreal, Real Salt Lake, Toronto FC. Now up to 8 goals this season in the USL, with 2 more tonight. Second straight match with a brace for Justin Braun. T2 trying to end this season on a high note, leave a good impression here in Portland. Have a long way ahead of them to do that.
Well, I think you're going to find now who your competitors are for T2, who your leaders are, who are going to be the ones to stand up and be counted for. So I just felt that that's what's lacked so far. The talent is obviously there in the team, but it's just who's going to stand up, who's going to be the one to take charge when things are going against you.
We talked earlier in the match about, all right, the team's out of the playoffs. We're going to find out who is going to still play hard, be a professional, try to make an impression, try to make an impact, even though the playoffs aren't possible. Well, now the playoffs aren't possible, and you're down 3-0 in the first half. That kind of sentiment, I think, grows even more in this situation.
It's the attitude. And I think right now what we're seeing is a team who has something to play for compared to a team who doesn't. T2 haven't come out showing the right attitudes, winning their tackles, doing all the little things. It hasn't been there. I mean, there's a couple players on the pitch, I think, just lacking a bit of effort that they could be up in their game. If it's not going well for you, I always think your endeavor never lets you down. Like, you always make those extra sprints. If anything, it goes the other way. Your effort becomes that much more when the quality perhaps isn't there and you're touching a match.
Here's Dairon Espria into a little bit of space, but touch got away from him, and Jakubek collects. Sac Republic may or may not know, but Colorado Springs and Oklahoma City Energy drew their match today. That ended in a 3-3 tie. And that means that Sac Republic now controls its own destiny as far as winning the USL Western Conference. If they win their final 3 matches, they will win the Western Conference. There are not enough points with the teams that are currently ahead of them to pass up where Sacramento Republic could be, which is to end on 50 points. As it stands now, they're still in 5th place in the West. A win today would be a start towards their ultimate goal of being conference champs. They play at Orange County on Wednesday, and then they host Arizona United in their finale on Saturday, September 19th, next week.
Just looking down at the technical area, Sacramento Republic, their manager, Paul Buckle, he's still on the edge of it, encouraging his backline to get up, but so much I've heard about Paul Buckle in terms of a manager. Overseas, had time with Luton Town specifically, playing against him as a player on the pit. You chat to guys and they say really enjoy playing for Paul Buckle. I think his philosophy, the way his man management with players, I think is very well received, and you see the impact he's had in a short time already.
He took over for Preki in July. An interesting situation with Preki, who left Sacramento Republic amid rumors that he was going to be given a job in the Premier League and become the first American to manage in the Premiership. That never came to be, but he still left Sacramento, and Paul Buckle took over. Sac won their first match under Paul Buckle in USL, then lost their second, drew their next 2, so we started 1-1-2, but they've won 2 in a row now. Obviously flying today here at Providence Park, seeming to settle in under their new manager. 44 years old, veteran, player in the lower English divisions, manager in the lower English divisions as well.
Plays for some great clubs with Brentford, Torquay, Colchester, Aldershot, amongst a few, and some big, powerful clubs in the stages outside of the Premiership. He's had a fantastic career, about 650 appearances as a player as he went, which is sensational.
It's a lot of games. Over 20 years he played. Managed Luton Town in 2013. They beat Norwich City in the FA Cup in the 5th round. It was the first time that a non-league team ever beat a Premier League team in the FA Cup. First time in 24 years that a non-league team had beaten an English First Division team. Of course, the Premier League wasn't established until 1992. The first time that had it ever happened, Paul Buckle was in charge of that team. $3-0 now, Sacramento on the ball, feeling confident as you'd expect him to. In control of this match tonight at Providence Park. Braun goes slamming into Anthony Manning. Foul on Justin Braun.
I don't know how much Braun knew about that. As the ball was coming over, it was there for Manning to win. He's just been caught by Manning as the ball goes over Braun's head at last second. Goes in, strong challenge.
It certainly seemed like he didn't realize that Manning was there until the last second. Yellow card coming, and a dangerous free kick chance coming for T2.
First time we've seen that Fatau has gotten on the ball and been able to get into space, and as he does, Mirkovic comes back. Prevents him from going beyond, perhaps, to get a shot away. That's why he's seen the booking, because Fatau was in space, 20 yards, 25 yards from goal, and he's pulled him down.
And Mirkovic just coming off a 2-game suspension for yellow card accumulation. It's his first game back, and immediately picks up another one in the 42nd minute. Good spot here for Fatau. We've seen him score from distance. Hasn't done so yet on a direct free kick. He's had some chances, but in the run of play has scored some spectacular goals this season from this very similar area.
Looks like Giannisson is lining up. He's the one that set the ball down.
And both of them there. We'll see who will take it. It will be Fatau. Jakubek makes a fantastic save. Fatau hit a laser that was headed towards the side netting and the far post. And the 36-year-old keeper came up big.
Well, what a hit this was by Fatau, who gets good contact, and Djokovic moves his feet ever so nicely to make sure that he gets himself across first, and then he makes a diving save.
Corner kick now for T2. Chance for Fatau in the box. He puts this one over. Doesn't like his left foot as much as he likes his right. And you saw in that sequence why that's the case.
It's better from him, though, after that first strike. And then second time falling to him. And that strike was easier, the one, even though his unfavored left peg. But from that distance, he'll know himself going back in the position. He should be getting on the frame at least.
Fatau this season, his first in Portland, 7 goals in USL play. Scored once in the US Open Cup as well. Scored against Newcastle in that friendly as well. He's certainly the most dangerous striker of the ball on T2. Scored a couple really spectacular goals. One against Vancouver on the road. One at home at Merlo Field against Tulsa. Andy Toma. A little more pep now from T2 in the final minutes of the first half. Belmar has not seen much of the ball at all in this first half. Asprilla, Nick Beasler, back to Dairon Asprilla. Heavy touch from Asprilla, and it's taken away by Sack.
He's trying too much there, Asprilla. Instead of just getting your touch, playing the ball, and then making your runs off it, just trying to do too much, trying to go through too many bodies. You can see how much better the T2 are when it goes into Belmar. When it comes back out, now players are involved. You're getting up the pitch. The whole football looks much better. It's composed though, isn't it, from Sacramento Republic, that there's confidence on the ball. They've obviously been encouraged to take your touch, to get the ball down, to try and play out of situations instead of just lumping it.
1 minute of stoppage time. And this is a good team, obviously, Sacramento, the defending champs. A team like that, you expect them to play at their best at the end of the season. We've seen that, I think, not only tonight, but the past couple of weeks as well. Fatau to the feet of Belmar. Toma.
Nifty little turn by Fatau there to play the ball into Belmar. Get himself away. He's played, I want to see more on the ball. He's in that number 10 position. What we see with the first team with Diego Valeri, and Valeri the last couple of matches, just how good he's been on the ball. He goes looking for it when it's not finding him.
Fatau, probably not the prototypical number 10 from a playmaking perspective. Likes to be a little more of a goal scorer. And that's it for the first half. Well, Sacramento, they like their goal scoring tonight. Rodrigo Lopez and 2 from Justin Braun. The 3 goals for Sacramento tonight. When we come back at halftime, I'll be joined by the general manager of the Timbers at T2 with Portland Thorns as well. Gavin Wilkinson will be with me to give his thoughts on the inaugural season of Portland Timbers 2. In the final home match of 2015 for T2, it's quite a hole at halftime. Sac Republic 3, T2 0.
It's not far now. this park? Looks kind of closed.
Make summer fun with a Mini Cooper Countryman for $199 a month and $44.80 due at signing at Mini of Portland.
Giving back to the community is very important to our family.
Help the Portland community and buy your 50-50 raffle tickets at every Timbers and Thorns home game. As a current board member of AC Portland, I know they're making a difference in the community through sports and education. 50% of the jackpot benefits Active Children Portland and the Stand Together Fields for All program. To participate, look for the 50-50 signs at home games and visit timbers.com/5050 for more information.
Pilots with numbers. Rapino sees it, and it's in!
Evans, tee it up. Shot on target! What a goal! Horn looking to cross. Touchdown! Across the clear! Right at the keeper! And then Christian puts it away!
You have fun, you will win, and you'll make me very, very happy.
It's not far now.
Dad, where is this park? Looks kind of closed.
Make summer fun with a Mini Cooper Countryman for $199 a month and $44.80 due at signing at Mini of Portland.
It's a study hall, an art studio, a racetrack, and a storage space. So Papa Murphy's has an idea. How about tonight, you turn it into a dinner table. Fill your table with a hot from your oven Papa Murphy's pizza, scratch-made dough, real mozzarella, and market-fresh meats and veggies. Home bake a large Papa Murphy's Cowboy, just $11. Fresh made, fresh baked. Papa Murphy's, love at 425 degrees.
Not far now.
Dad, where is this park? Looks kind of closed.
Make summer fun with a Mini Cooper Countryman for $199 a month and $44.80 due at signing at Mini of Portland.
At halftime, T2 in a 3-0 hole. Sacramento Republic ahead here in the final home match of the 2015 season for Portland Timbers 2. I'm now joined at halftime by Gavin Wilkinson, the general manager of the Portland Timbers. Gavin, I want to talk about T2 as a whole. This is the final home match of this season, the second to last match this year. When you guys created T2, I know there were a lot of different objectives. How has T2 gone in those objectives in thinking about what you wanted it to be in its first year?
I think it's definitely a starting point. For us, it was very, very important to get back into the league and to use this as a developmental team. That the purpose of T2 is to develop players for the first team, or develop a player for the first team and prepare the player. It also serves several other purposes when we have players recovering from injuries, players that need games. G. Anderson, Espria tonight, Jake Gleason, Beasler, you got Toma. It keeps them match fit, it keeps them sharp, and it does prepare them and give them feedback. Every single game, Caleb's watching, Jay's watching, the other coaches are watching, and it's a chance to educate the player. It's a chance that we didn't get last year. So for us, obviously, winning it has to be part of the culture as well. So that's something that we need to keep developing within the group. But ultimately, next year, we'd like to get a little bit younger and obviously continue to develop players.
One thing that I heard a lot about T2 when asking both Caleb Porter, yourself, Jay Vidovich, talking to you guys about in the beginning of the year was T2 will be a success if it can help the first team at all. On Wednesday night, we saw George Foshive and Taylor Pay step in, play very well for the first team against Sporting Kansas City. And they had been playing with T2 frequently, especially this summer. How important in their development do you think having T2 has been for them?
I think extremely valuable. They're able to work with Caleb on a daily basis, and I think that's extremely important. Not only are they integrated into the T2 team, but they're still a part of the MLS roster, and they're still a part of the MLS team. They're still training with the other players. They're training with Caleb, so there's familiarity, there's chemistry, and being able to go and play a game with T2 and not really miss a beat with the first team as well, it's tremendous. Last year when we were loaning players out to other teams, we wouldn't see them for a month, maybe 2 months. And it's hard to keep track of their development while we watch the games on the live streams, etc. Very, very hard because you see the development and the work on a day-to-day basis. But I thought both Taylor and George the other night were tremendous. And it gives Caleb confidence seeing the guys perform in T2 and seeing them on a daily basis and being able to test them in games and then being able to give them feedback, like I've said, and use that as a coaching point and a development opportunity for the player. And then when they come in and play the way they did for the MLS team, I think tremendous, and it speaks volumes for the T2 team.
On the other end, you've got the academy guys. Blake Bodley has stood out this year. He's played in 6 matches for T2. He's started twice. We've seen Terrell Lowe get a little bit of time. Pepsi Perez was on the bench last week. How important has it been to have some of those academy guys gaining experience with T2, and not even just in matches, but in training as well?
Not only training, but game day, to be able to experience the environment, to be able to actually see how the professionals behave on a regular basis. Being in and around the group, I think, sets a standard for them, and it allows them to develop as players, both on and off the field. I think as we move forward, you'll start to see academy players get more minutes. One of the objectives moving into next year, like I said, is not only to get younger. Obviously, we want to get better, but we also want to start to give the academy players a chance within the T2 team. So maybe we dip them in for a little bit and then bring them out and see what they're like and see how they cope with the pressure and the intensity of the game and the physicality of the game. But I think it's I keep going back, it's a great starting point. To have Bodley and the others involved, I think is tremendous.
You mentioned wanting to get younger. What is your vision for the future of T2?
Our average age this year is 24. I think by the time, and we're just dealing with the average, by the time a player is 24, how many years have they got in MLS? I think for us, we want to start to sign 18, 19, 20-year-olds, spend 1 to 2 years developing them and finding out earlier rather than later what they're capable of. And I think spending 2 years in a T2 program and having age on their side allows us a little bit more flexibility with each pathway for a player to bring them along accordingly. But one of the things I'd like to see, obviously, more wins. The style would be representative of the first team. I think you saw on Wednesday what the first team is capable of and the way that they play. And I'd like to see a closer connection in the principles of the play, the philosophy that drives it. And I think that is happening. It's just this is a starting point.
Thank you, Gavin. We appreciate your time coming up and joining us in the booth. So when we come back, we'll have first half highlights and the second half kick. T2 and Sacramento Republic. Sac Republic, a 3-0 lead at halftime.
If you be my star, I'll be your sky. You can hide underneath me and come out at night. When I turn jet black and you show off your light, I live to let you shine. I live to let you
You have no idea how your health rolls out in waves of good. Providence.
It's a study hall, an art studio, a racetrack, and a storage space. So Papa Murphy's has an idea. How about tonight, you turn it into a dinner table. Fill your table with a hot from your oven Papa Murphy's pizza, scratch-made dough, real mozzarella, and market-fresh meats and veggies. Home bake a large Papa Murphy's Cowboy, just $11. Fresh made, fresh baked. Papa Murphy's, love at 425 degrees.
It's not far now.
Dad, where is this park?
Looks kind of closed.
Make Make summer fun with a Mini Cooper Countryman for $199 a month and $44.80 due at signing at Mini of Portland.
Giving back to the community is very important to our family.
Help the Portland community and buy your 50/50 raffle tickets at every Timbers and Thorns home game. As a current board member of AC Portland, I know they're making a difference in the community through sports and education. 50% of the jackpot benefits Active Children Portland and the Stand Together Fields for All program. To participate, look for the 50/50 signs at home games and visit timbers.com/50/50 for more information.
Sacramento Republic, the dominant side in the first half tonight at Providence Park, a 3-0 lead over Portland Timbers 2. As we look at the first half highlights, Ross, it was all Sac Republic, the 3 goals, and it started with the former Portland Timber, Rodrigo Lopez, in the 13th minute.
Well, it was a very mature first half for Sacramento Republic. As you say, this man, Stewart, he found space, combining with Braun right the way through the first half, but in this situation, it finds its way to Lopez. And on the edge of the box, his technical ability takes him through. Just how he guides himself into it. He knows that the ball, he's going to have time to get the strike away. So a couple of yards before, just slows himself down to make sure the contact's right. And what a hit.
And then it became the Justin Braun show. 2 goals in just 1 minute. First one with the head, and then the next one he got into some space and finished.
It was a smart run by Braun. He just got himself in between defenders, and in this situation was a horrendous back pass from Gavin. Don't know what he saw, but Braun, he pounced on it, took his touch, his composure, waited for Gleason to come out, and at the right moment, just picked this time to tuck it around his left side.
Second straight match with a brace for Sac Republic's Justin Braun. This one comes in just 45 minutes of play. Second half coming up for T2, the final half of the 2015 in the Rose City for Portland Timbers 2. Will they have it in them to stage a comeback? We will find out. Second half kick coming up after this.
Not far now.
Dad, where is this park?
Looks kind of closed.
Make summer fun with a Mini Cooper Countryman for $199 a month and $44.80 due at signing at Mini of Portland.
Pilots with numbers. Rapino sees it, and it's in!
Octavius, tee it up. Shot on target! What a goal! Horn looking to cross. Let's go! Inside the clear! Right at the keeper! And then Christian puts it away!
You have fun, you will win, and you'll make me very, very happy.
It's a study hall, an art studio, a racetrack, and a storage space. So Papa Murphy's has an idea. How about tonight, you turn it into a dinner table. Fill your table with a hot from your oven Papa Murphy's pizza, scratch-made dough, real mozzarella, and market-fresh meats and veggies. Home bake a large Papa Murphy's Cowboy, just $11. Fresh made, fresh baked. Papa Murphy's, love at 425 degrees.
One change for T2 coming at halftime, and it is a very offensive-minded change. Michael Seaton will come on for Devon Fisher. Gianderson moves to left back. Seaton up top. We'll most likely see Carlton Belmar out wide, as well as T2 Ross find themselves in a 3-0 hold after the first 45. Jake Ziv and Ross Smith back with you at Providence Park. And it's been a test all night for T2, a test for their mentality of how do you play knowing that the playoffs are not a possibility. Well, we ask that same question now in the second half. How do you play down 3-0 at the half?
We talked about playing for pride, and that would have been the message at halftime, because going into the locker rooms, just looked around at the body language, and it was as though they were hoping that that 45-minute whistle would have been the full time. But coming out the second half to make amends for the first half performance, to leave with a good feeling. So you say to your men, right, 0-0, forget that you're down 3-0. Play as though it's 0-0. Play as though there's 45 minutes, there's the last 45 minutes of the season, and so you have that good taste in your mouth. But give it to the fans as well. Look at fans, they've turned out tonight, they've paid their money through the gates. You put the performance for them, but always for yourself.
Andy Toma as T2 starts the second half with a little bit of possession. Wasn't much of it in the first half for Portland Timbers 2. Carlton Belmar has moved out to the right side and loses it for, as he plays it off a Sac Republic player, wins it through.
Yeah, very positive change by Jay Vidovic. He just wondered at halftime, would he make changes with it not going their way the first half? He's done that with Belmar and Seaton now. He would have been sitting there that 45 minutes. So he's come back from Jamaica thinking, get me in, I want to get the legs going in this crowd at Providence Park. All the players on the bench, they'll be thinking, if the first team players aren't doing it there, it was starting 11, get me on there, because I'd like to make an impression on the game.
And right away, Carlton Belmar wins a corner kick for T2. First corner kick of the match for them. Gianderson curls it to the near post. It's sent clear. Nick Beasler had a shot from distance that was blocked. Andy Toma slides in, does well to win it and keep it for T2. Dairon Asprilla cutting in between a couple Sac Republic players. His shot took a deflection. And it did not take a deflection, rather, and it'll be a goal kick for Sac Republic. Michael Seaton into the match, 19-year-old, acquired by the Portland Timbers by the first team in a trade with DC United on August 7th. Is signed to the first team, has not played yet for the Timbers in MLS play. Has appeared in 3 matches for T2, has started once. Scored on his T2 debut against Oklahoma City a few months ago. Or last month, I should say, a few weeks ago. Justin Braun, now 2 straight matches with a brace after scoring twice in the first half. Looking for Stewart. No changes for Sac Republic, as you'd expect with a 3-0 lead at halftime. They like the team they've put out there tonight. Direct from T2, nobody's there. And it's easy for Jakubek, the Sac Republic keeper.
Belmar knows himself, he's just apologizing to Seaton. Perhaps that's the moment where you just control the ball, you get your possession going instead of going for that killer pass. I have to say they've come out with the reaction. They've started the second half rather brightly.
Yeah, much more positive than the first half, that's for sure. Fatau. Now it's Dairon Asprilla. Has Gianderson overlapping. Instead cuts it inside, then back to Fatau. Into Asprilla. Nice turn from Asprilla. His shot was blocked by Cazares. Cazares and Mirkovic in the midfield have been controlling things so far for Sac Republic. Beasler, right side to Carlton Belmar. Back to Toma. Looking into the box. It's easy for Jakubek. We get to see Carlton Belmar in a different spot now. Earlier in the season, he was the lone striker, and that was all we saw him play. It was more out of necessity than anything else, because there wasn't really anybody else that could play in that role. Now with Michael Seaton coming into the squad, we've seen Belmar pushed out to the right a little bit more, play as a winger. And we've seen it a lot this year with T2, Ross. Guys like Andy Toma playing on the right as he is right now. Taylor Pay at center back and outside back. T2 allows the team to give guys looks at different positions, see how they fit, and give them experience and versatility in lots of different spots as Clementa comes into the box and it's sent clear for a throw.
it's an opportunity. You see guys in different positions and how that suits to them. Maybe it all of a sudden brings out a certain characteristic of their game, which you wouldn't have that chance in the first team game. So you come to T2 and you get a chance to really express certain skills that you wouldn't be able to at the first level.
And for a guy like Carlton Belmar, if you can show that you're effective as a winger and as a striker up top, that just makes you more attractive to the first team if you can have some versatility. Sac Republic looking direct. Payne controls for T2.
It was good from Payne gaining his positioning, right? We talked about his distances with him and Manning and their decisions of when to step, when to drop. And there you could see Manning went in. The first striker, Payne was covered in behind, and he was at a nice distance from Manning.
Fatau. Beasler back to Manning. Toma looking for Seaton. Seaton's going to run onto it. Jakubek stays on his line. Michael Seaton right into Jakubek, who makes the save. It's played out to Belmar. Now Belmar to the byline, uses his speed to blow by Kiffey. Cross into the box, falls to Beasler, sends it back across. It is still not clear from Sacramento. Seaton goes down, and Sac finally gets it outside of their 18-yard box.
Sloppy defending by Sacramento Republic. Good ball from Toma to put it in behind. I just wonder, Djokovic, could he have come out for it? It's too close to his line.
Asprilla with a very nice back heel to Gianderson. It's taken away by Sacramento Republic. Still certainly more positive in the attack from T2 in the first 5-6 minutes of this second half. A lot of it's gone through Belmar on the right side.
Yeah, well, Toma read it well. The back line for Sacramento Republic were so high up that there was the space in behind. And so I was looking for Djokovic. Would he come out and keep that distance with his back line? But he was so far back towards his line. That's why the space opened up to get him behind from the ball from Toma.
Offside flag is up. Thomas Stewart caught offside. Nike is a proud partner of the USL. Follow at Nike Soccer on Twitter for all the latest Nike Soccer information. Fatau chasing. And Vukovic gets it clear. Toma to the feet of Seaton. He lost it. James Kiffey, long ball looking for Thomas Stewart. Putting pressure on Tim Payne. And a foul called on Thomas Stewart. Knocking over Payne. He doesn't like the call.
I think Stewart's a bit fortunate not to come away with a booking. Just kick the ball away. Sportsmanlike after the play. I think he was a little hard done by. For Payne, if you're going to let that ball roll out, you've got to make sure that you're putting your body on line. You make sure that you see that ball cross the entirety of the line. But in the end, Stewart, I thought, just outmuscled him.
Again, a new spot for Tim Payne, playing at center back for the first time in his professional career. Normally a holding midfielder. Renico Clark's hurt, Harrison Delbridge is hurt, Taylor Pay's not available. So Tim Payne, the man, asked to step in. Seaton, nice back heel to Fatau. He tries to turn, lays it off for Seaton. Picks out Asprilla, gets there before it gets to the byline. It's loose in the box, but no one there for T2. And Sac Republic gets it clear.
It's good stuff by the Timbers, finding that combination play around the edge of the 18. In the end, that ball in behind that springs Asprilla in, and he does well to guide the ball back. Just no one there for the Timbers making the run.
Again, Asprilla hasn't been as sharp as we're used to seeing him. I don't think that on Asprilla. His touch just not what it normally is.
Just wonder sometimes players coming down, do they try to do too much? Are they trying to impress? Are they trying to get into the first team right away in terms of starting 11? And so you overplay at times. Actually, hear people say it's easier to play the higher you go because you have players off of you, making the right runs, giving you the right pass right when you want it.
Tyrone Asprilla did so well last time he played for T2. Justin Braun is onside on a hat trick, and Gleason prevents the hat trick. Big right paw to keep Braun on a brace.
Well, again, Braun was sprung in. He managed to beat the offside trap. I think it was Beasler just trying to recover in time as the center backs went missing. But Jake Gleason, I thought he got his angles right. He stayed on his feet, waited as Braun was just trying to cheeky little dink over the top of him.
Already 2 goals tonight for Justin Braun. 33rd and 34th minute. They came just a minute apart. Really blew open the game in the latter portion of that first half, just when it looked like T2 had settled down a bit after conceding. Manning was blocked by Clementa, who comes forward. Emra Clementa, the right back, slides it into space. Lopez, T2 doesn't want him on the ball, and he puts it over the bar. Gleason got a tip. He made the save on his former teammate, Rodrigo Lopez.
It was a special save from Gleason as the ball gets worked out to Lopez, and he just works it nicely onto his right peg. And Gleason gets that valuable touch, and he gets up on his feet to tell Belmar, show him to his left. Saw what Lopez could do in the first half when he gets the space on his right foot. Don't let him cut in.
And that was going in. Great save from Jake Gleason. Danny Barrera will take the corner kick for Sac Republic. Their first corner kick of the match. He sends it to the back post. It bounces at the back post and was certainly out. It'll be a goal kick for T2.
Decent ball in. It was tough for Gleason to come out. He had bodies all around him, and in the end, T2 did well to stick to their marks.
Fatau almost lost it. Now he does lose it. Fatau also hasn't been quite as sharp on the ball as we're used to seeing from him.
He's not been allowed very much room, and I think with your game, when you're realizing that there are bodies getting around you, that you're being hunted down, make sure you're more efficient with your touches, to pop it, spin out, and then you come back again. And all of a sudden, a player coming in to defend you, if they know you're going to just pop it off first time, perhaps the next time they don't go in and make that run. They just assume you're going to only have one touch, and that's the time when you get turned and you can start going at guys.
Lopez. Braun lays it off. Now it's Clementa. Gianderson closes him down. Always composed on the ball. Manning just gets it to safety. Asprilla does well to win a header. Fatau has Belmar with a lot of space on the right side. Belmar looking for Seaton or Asprilla. That didn't miss by much. Most promising, one of the more promising attacks of the match for T2. Tyrone Asprilla, so good in the air, but couldn't keep it on goal.
Well, T2 have shown that they can unsettle the backline of Sacramento Republic, and it's a great ball in as Asprilla attacks it late. You can see he's got the jump on his defender. Just needs to steer that ball on frame. A couple times in the first team where Asprilla's gotten himself into the area, and he's got a tremendous leap. Just hasn't had the direction.
Just 5'11", Tyrone Asprilla, but certainly one of the best verticals on the Timbers. Great ball from Sacramento. Picks out Barrera. Heavy touch from Barrera. Gianderson won that to throw for T2.
Just see again the holding center midfielders for Sacramento Republic. They're doing a good job to make sure that Timbers can't get faced up the pitch. Mirkovic coming, putting pressure on Gavin, on Beasler, making sure that they don't have that time.
Mirkovic, one of the guys that Jay Vidovic pointed out as being a real quality player for Sacramento when I spoke to him. Said he likes to stay at home and is so good in that role for Sacramento. 28-year-old Serbian in his second season with Sac. Poor clearance from Gianderson, concedes a corner.
Well, the Timbers came out the first 15 minutes, looked bright, but just body language there. You don't want it to dip now. You've come out and you've asked questions. You've started to put pressure on the back line. Sacramento Republic, even though you haven't got your goal, just say you keep pushing on. In that instance, I just thought a couple of players could have recovered a bit quicker.
Lopez into the box. Gleason gets a punch to it. And a foul called on Sacramento. Foul was on Nemanja Vukovic, who I think got the worst of it.
Well, there's Gleason's coming out. Vukovic, he just cuts in underneath. He's arrived late. Gleason comes towering over.
Those guys know each other so well. Jake Gleason and Nemanja Vukovic led Sac Republic to the USL title last year. Vukovic, the 2014 Defender of the Year, and what was then known as USL Pro. Played in front of Gleason on the championship team. Toma, that gets over. Can Belmar get there in the box? He does. It's poked clear by Mickey Daly. Belmar, always active, runs it down. Nutmegs Kiffy, didn't get it back.
Again, good cleaning up by Mirkovic, but they've given it away again.
And Toma, Fatau, a chance. His shot was blocked. You know, his eyes get big when he sees the ball in that spot on the pitch. Daly did well to get a foot to it.
Again, Mirkovic recovering for his defender getting in, but as it falls to Fatau, Daly, I believe it was, got to the edge to get his block.
Third corner kick for T2. They've all come in this second half. Blair Gavin, the captain, will take it. First, Farhad Dadko, the referee, will talk to Dairon Asprilla and Nemanja Vukovic. Now the corner from Gavin, curled into the box. Jakubek spilled it, but a foul called, no doubt about it, as Anthony Manning went slamming into the Sacramento keeper.
Yeah, there's definite contact, as it's a decent ball in. Djokovic does well, though, to come out, command his area. Man, he's got every right to go for the ball. But credit to Jakubek. He's got control of it as it comes into his hand, and Manning just knocks him as they're both in flight.
You can follow at USL on Twitter to become a league insider, join club conversations, and have a chance at exclusive giveaways. And have you visited the new USLsoccer.com? Get the latest news and live stats, and check out their social media hub. Emra Clementa. Braun has space to turn. Delicate ball towards Stewart. Gleason off his line quickly.
Just looking at the communication between Gavin, Beasler, Payne. Braun, he's getting himself into that area, and the centre backs aren't coming out. The holding centre midfielders aren't drifting back. They need to watch that area.
There's a giveaway. Fatau has some space. Tries a shot from distance and hits it wide. There's really only one thing going through his mind when he gets the ball in that spot, and that's to take a shot, find the goal.
You can't fault him for hitting it. We saw him hit a free kick in the first half, which was a nice strike on goal. But in that instance, I thought perhaps he could have driven in another yard or two before he took his strike. Perhaps towards the center of the goal where the angle would have favored him a bit more. But in the end, the contact wasn't there as he opted for power rather than placement. And in the end, he ends up dragging it.
Yellow card shown to Fatau, I believe. And that yellow card to Fatau, if it was indeed to Fatau, will end his season. That'll be his 8th yellow card which is a 2-match suspension in USL, yellow card accumulation. So he will not play on Wednesday at LA Galaxy 2. Didn't see what it was for, possibly a delay to put the ball back into play.
I have to tell you, I'm the same. Just wondered there why Fatal would have picked up that booking.
Yellow card confirmed to Fatal. So he will miss T2's final match of the season on Wednesday at LA.
Be the only thought, you just wonder whether it is unsporting behavior. Afterwards, that's the referee is deemed, because there's certainly no contact. It was Fatal taking the strike on goal.
Regardless of what it was for, it will again force him to miss the final match because of yellow card accumulation. Now Lopez, still Rodrigo Lopez, touch wide to Barrera. He was brought down, play on. Lopez gets it back with some space. Time to line up across to the back post. Was looking for Braun, maybe was looking for the side netting as well. And it goes out for a goal kick.
It was enough to worry Gleason as that ball was being whipped in, and fortunately enough, Braun had cut himself in. His angle of his run brought himself towards the goal instead of coming around that back stick.
Carlton Belmar, long run forward from the man playing on the right wing, and played it just out of the reach of Andy Toma. Quick throw taken, and Stewart is sprung through. Waits for some runners to come into the box. Plays back to Justin Braun. Out wide to James Kiffey, now Rodrigo Lopez. Kiffey back to Lopez as Sac Republic tries to stay on the ball and kill off more of this match. A 3-goal lead. 2 from Justin Braun, 1 from Rodrigo Lopez. Emra Clementa cuts inside, then back out. Goes down easily, too easily for Fairhead Dodko's liking. Gianderson will play the ball forward. Seaton chasing, composed in the back from Sacramento.
Ball back, what a ball that was from Lopez. From one side of the pitch to the next, he's always had that in him. The ability to put it on a time, on a plate for a player.
Rodrigo Lopez, 3 seasons as a Timber. Member of the inaugural MLS side. Also played 3 seasons for Chivas USA, 2005 through 2007. Has been the on-field face of Sac Republic in its first 2 seasons in USL.
He didn't do Mirkovic any favors there with the ball that he put in. It was just crying out for a center back to come through, and that's what Manny did. Right through Mirkovic, and only now is he getting himself back to position as he hobbles in.
Belmar, touch into space. Vukovic covers, plays it out for a throw. Toma, driven ball in. Jakubek spilled it, but it's harmless in the end.
Standing on both sides have just dipped these last few minutes. Quality of passing hasn't quite been there. Just wonder, is it a thought on both teams, right? Let's just see out the minutes. From the T2 standpoint, this is where you see your characters.
It's the exact thing you don't want to see from T2, right? In this side is, let's just see this out. You want to see fight if you're Jay Vidovich, Caleb Porter, Gavin Wilkinson.
Yeah, right to the end. You always want that, and I think we talked about what the message would have been at halftime. That would have been part of it. No matter what the score line, for 45 minutes, you run yourself into the ground.
These guys playing for their future at this point. Players signed to T2 especially, maybe unsure if they'll be coming back next year. Chance to make a final impression before the offseason. Jake Gleason, direct. Easily handled by Sacramento.
Jay Vidovich on the edge of his technical area is trying to corral his players, trying to get them up the pitch to press from the front, see if they can force a mistake.
Difficult ball from Anthony Manning back to Jake Gleason.
Have that. Not much Gleason could do with that. I think he'll have a word with Manning in a second. He's just fizzed it right into him.
Justin Braun turns well and has a lot of space. Already 2 goals for Justin Braun. Does he want a third? He did. Gianderson blocked it.
Good play by Braun. Take him away from the defender. Then to travel. Just thought perhaps he could have hit his shot earlier. Could have taken it on another touch or two before.
Braun trying to turn. Manning does well to defend. Now Gianderson. Maybe caught in between 2 ideas of Fatau and Asprilla, and it goes right to Mickey Daly. Justin Braun. Nifty ball into space, but Toma tracked back. Played it back to Jake Gleason. Now Asprilla, I think T2 wanted to see a lot more of this all game long. Asprilla in some space, running at Sac Republic. He hasn't had the opportunity to do that much. Michael Seaton loses it. Thomas Stewart is onside as the game goes a little bit end to end. Stewart being hounded by Andy Toma. It's off of Toma. Corner kick coming for Sacramento, their 3rd of the match, and substitution first coming from Sacramento. Gabe Gissy will come on. Ivan Mirkovic will come off. Mirkovic on a yellow card today. Certainly makes sense to get him off the pitch at this point. Such an important cog in this team. 2 games left. You need him.
He's put in a good shift. I think he's done very well to control the center of the park, to make sure when Timbers players gotten on it that he's harassing them, but then going forward. Just to be nice and simple, and that's what you want from your holding central midfield players.
Gabe Gissy listed as a forward, so this certainly an attacking substitution. Again, that's not in what you would think would be in mind as Barrera tries a volley from 30 that's saved by Gleason. You'd have to think it's more just to get Mirkovic off the pitch. Gissy will play on the right wing, it appears, with Barrera moving inside. Fatau settles. Gissy's first touch is nullified by a foul. Gavin over the ball, instead plays it down the line for Fatau. As Gianderson overlapping, plays it back to Gavin. He's got a little time. Will now send it into the box. Jakubek comes off his line, had to get a touch, and he did. Corner kick coming for T2. Asprilla was there, I think Manning was there as well.
Well, it was well worked by T2 to get it back to Gavin, who puts in a nice ball that Jakubek at the last second has had to come out to get a touch because he's realized there's a few Timbers players lurking about.
Giandersson's corner again. It's Jakubek off his line. Catches it this time.
Yeah, nice and controlled by him. He's looked good today. He's looked good, very commanding in his area. The shot stopping we saw first half of Giandersson, and in terms of crossing every time, he's looked very comfortable.
Gissy in the box, holding off Toma. Finds Braun. Back heel to nobody. But nobody there for T2 either. Asprilla finally comes back to win it for Portland. Sends it wide right side, Carlton Belmar. Belmar coming forward. Leaves it for Gavin.
Belmar at the start of the second half, we were seeing him more on the ball. He just needs to find his way back into this second half to see if he can get on the ball and start running at players, because he is so fast. His pace is frightening, but he hasn't used it enough in this second half to really ask questions out that right side.
And whether it be the first half or the second half, whether it be Belmar, Asprilla, Giandersson, T2 has struggled to get the ball wide, I think, get the ball to their wingers in a spot where they can run it at Sacramento. Here's Belmar. Asprilla has floated over the right side, gets it back, gets around one defender, and a foul is called. Good spot for a free kick now for T2 as they try to get at least a goal in this match.
That foul comes just the player's eagerness to close down, to make sure that there is no room to get out. And they draw the free kick in a good area. Just looking at Anthony Manning, big towering man coming up. If it's a good ball, there's not many who can contest with him in the air.
He did it on this pitch against Newcastle United in July. Giandersson and Gavin over the ball. It will be Giandersson. Floats it into the box. Beasler's at the back post. It went off a Sacramento player. It'll be a corner kick for T2. Now their fourth of this second half.
Yes, a decent ball in at the back stick as Beasler just peels off his run. He's trying to come off his man. But in the end, Kifei does well to make sure that he's tight on. Beasler can't get a free header.
The captain, Blair Gavin, will take this corner. Jakubek way off his line, swung at it, missed. And Cazares had to get it clear, and he did. Throw-in coming for T2, but first, a substitution for Sacramento Republic. Max Alvarez will come into the match, and Justin Braun will come off. He doesn't get a chance to go for his hat trick. Just a brace tonight for Justin Braun. Second straight match with 2 goals for the Sacramento striker. He hands off the captain's armband to Rodrigo Lopez. And Max Alvarez, 24-year-old midfielder, went to Sacramento State. Playing now for Sacramento Republic, making his 14th appearance this season. Asprilla trying to get to the byline. He does, gets a cross off. Daly gets it clear.
Good stuff from Asprilla. As you mentioned before, wanted to see more of that in this match.
Gissy takes it off of Toma, and a yellow card will be shown to Andy Toma. And just like Fatau, Andy Toma's season will end after tonight. He gets his 8th yellow card of the season, and that's a 2-game suspension for Andy Toma because of yellow card accumulation. In the USL, you get to 8, and it's a 2-game suspension. It's different than MLS. So he will not play on Wednesday against LA. And another substitution now for Sacramento. Thomas Stewart will come off. And Mark Sherrod is going to come on. Mark Sherrod, a guy that Timbers fans are going to recognize, know well from his time with San Jose. Became kind of a villain in July in that match when the Timbers beat San Jose 1-0 on July 5th. Is on loan from the San Jose Earthquakes. playing now for the third straight match as a sub for Sac Republic. Alvarez got to that header, but sent it into the crowd.
Well, he's a good frame. Sure, in the air, he puts himself about. He makes life difficult for center backs, and as you mentioned, when he was on this pitch, first San Jose early, both Paparado and Liam Ridgewell, the starting center backs for the Timbers in that match, ended up with bandages on their head, and so that shows you what Sherrod is willing to do. He's willing to contest everything in the air.
Also wore the Timbers green at one point in his career as well, former member of the Portland Timbers under-23 team in 2013. Here's another former Timbers under-23 player, Carlton Belmar, on the ball. Back to Blair Gavin, now Gianderson. Headed clear. Lopez brought it down momentarily. Toma took it away. Fatau turns well, gets it to Belmar. Belmar cuts in onto his right foot. Beasler plays it into touch, was looking for Gianderson.
Unfortunately, I think that sums it up tonight for Beasler. Just his passing, connecting, controlling the tempo of the game hasn't quite been there.
It hasn't been the night for T2. Down 3-0 in the 34th minute after a quick Justin Braun brace and a fantastic strike from Rodrigo Lopez. And they haven't really been that threatening the rest of the way. T2 won't make the playoffs in their first year, and it's something that's actually pretty common amongst MLS 2 teams. If the season were to end right now, there'd be only 2 MLS direct affiliates, MLS-owned teams in the USL playoffs. It'd be the New York Red Bulls 2 in the Eastern Conference and LA Galaxy 2, Los Dos, in the Western Conference. All the other ones not in the playoffs. Vancouver, Real Monarchs bringing up the bottom of the Western Conference. Toronto FC and FC Montreal in the East are second to last and third to last. Seattle still has a chance to make the playoffs. They need to get a point in their final match. If they lose, they'll be out. If they get a win or a draw, they'll be in. But as it stands now, they're on the outside looking in. It's a tough situation, I think, competitively for MLS teams. Half the team, half the squad might not train together during the week because the first team guys are with the first team, and then the second team guys are with the second team, but then they kind of mash together on game day. At different starting 11s every week depending on who's available from the first team.
I think it's all about the planning and the communication that you have. Are the lines open between the first team and your USL squad, and making sure that players, if they're not getting a game with the first team, that there is that plan in place. And I think T2 with the Timbers, how they've been able to do that, to achieve, to make sure that players are coming in, they're having an impact, that Jay Vidovic is on the same page. He's there every day at training with the first team, so he's on the pulse for both sides of it to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Alvarez tries to get around Tim Payne, is unable to. The objective has been stated for T2 is not necessarily being about getting wins. You heard Gavin Wilkinson at halftime, and Jay Vidovic has said it often as well. Winning is a very important part of development that's on the mind. Learning how to win, learning how to be successful. But ultimately, the #1 goal of T2 is to help the first team.
What stood out to me, Gavin Wilkinson coming on, was how we talked about T2 being a mirror image of the first team, the style of play, the format in which when you come to T2, if you do get called up in the first team, that everything looks similar. So it being the first year, that'll be something that they'll continue to progress and to make sure that everybody is in cohesion, there's synergy between the two.
And all the way down through the academies as well. We saw a little bit of that integration this year with Blake Bodley playing a lot for T2. Saw Terrell Lowe, saw Jose Pepsi Perez and others on the bench in training almost on a weekly basis, especially over the summer and in the off season for the academy. There were guys in and out of T2 training. I think we'll only see that increase immensely in the upcoming years.
I just think, though, if you play at the T2, if you're coming down from the first team to play, you should be coming in to boss it here.
Yep.
You look at George Fashive, his attitude coming in and the way he's played has been phenomenal at this level and the first team.
Corner kick given up for Sac Republic. Caleb Porter said that beginning of the year. He said, if you want to make it to the first team from T2, whether it be a first team player who's mostly playing on loan with T2 or whether it be a guy signed to T2, you need to dominate at the USL level. Not just play well, but dominate at that level.
Yeah, and you see now we go back to George Fashive and his attitude coming into the matches, that he comes in, not only is it fitness, but he wants to make sure that he's sharpening his craft, that he's improving on all levels. And then when he comes into first team, not only is he just there making up numbers, he's having an impact. The last two matches, Seattle Sounders and then at home this past weekend, he was tremendous.
Lopez's corner is to the back post. Daly had a good look at goal and he put it over. And watching George Fashive from the Orlando City match in MLS and then not playing until the Colorado match, getting some US Open Cup matches and then making his T2 debut in the summer, I think you saw it from that point, from when he made his T2 debut until a couple weeks ago when he played against Seattle. You saw in the USL matches a progression, a confidence growing within him, just completely bossing the midfield in those latter matches. And that's what you want to see, obviously, from him, and also a benefit. And Caleb Porter's mentioned that a player can gain a lot of confidence from coming in and having a string of really, really good performances, no matter what the level that it's at.
Well, it's his power, it's his simplicity in his play that is all of a sudden gonna wow you with some spectacular skill. But I think that's his beauty, the way he connects his passes, the way he dominates the game in the midfield, this hunger for tackles.
We saw him a moment ago. Now he's going to come into the match. It's Rundell Winchester coming on for Carlton Belmar. Carlton Belmar leaves the pitch in Portland for the final time in the 2015 season. Shares a moment with Jay Vidovich. Certainly a fan favorite, Carlton Belmar. Scored the first ever goal for T2. It was at Merlot Field back in March 29th. Had a brace in that match against Real Monarchs. Rundell Winchester scored in that match as well. Rundell hasn't scored, though, since May 16th. Both of his goals came against Real Monarchs. One at Merlot, one in Utah as Espria wins a corner. Rather gets into it a little bit with James Kiffey. They're both kind of smiling as they bumped into each other. Blair Gavin into the box, rising up to meet it is Manning. Falls to Beasler on the back post, didn't hit it well. It's sent clear, then brought down by Gianderson, who sends his volley into the tunnel underneath the Timbers Army. He struck it well, but couldn't keep it down.
Well, the Timbers do a good job to make sure that Sacramento Republic can't get a good clearance on it. The ball pops around, it's a poor clearance. And as Gianderson comes to the edge, it sits up nicely. He's got a nice left foot, good technique. Couldn't get over the ball enough, couldn't get the body over it to keep it down.
A couple substitutions now for Sacramento Republic. The first one, Alfonso Moto Galvan coming into the match for Augustine Cazares. And then Derek Foran coming into the match for Mickey Daly. Fifth and final substitution from Paul Buckle in USL play. If you're new to the league, there are 5 substitutions allowed. It's of course different for Major League Soccer and most professional soccer leagues around the world, where you only get 3. They've used all 5 tonight. T2, meanwhile, has only used 2. We've seen that from Jay Vidovich this season. Has rarely gone past 3 subs. Sacramento not afraid to do so, as Gabe Gissy called for offside.
It's just a matter of the time ticking away now. Both sides, Sacramento Republic will feel real good about their first half in particular, about the way that they've just maintained and seen the game out in the second half.
And just 1 minute of stoppage time added to this second half. Maybe mercifully if you're a T2 supporter. Hasn't been the night that T2 wanted. Winchester hustling in the final minute of this match. Espria, Beasler, Winchester knocked off the ball. Gabe Gissy. Gavin slides in, Gissy goes down. Throw-in coming for Sacramento. We're reaching the end of the minute that was indicated. It's going to be an important win for Sacramento Republic. Keeps their regular season title hopes alive. Barrera will put this ball into the box. It's headed clear. And that will do it. The final match at home for T2 in its inaugural season is in the books. A 3-0 loss to Sacramento Republic, who were certainly the better team tonight from the opening whistle. We'll take a look back at the highlights of this match. And Ross, 13th minute is where it started for Sacramento. The former Portland Timber, Rodrigo Lopez, has scored some goals in this venue, and he scored another nice one tonight.
Well, they started off so well, Sacramento Republic, as they took control of the ball the first half, and right away Lopez, as the ball falls to him, makes no mistake about the contact as he steers it into the back of the net. And then second goal, Braun gets himself in between defenders. It's a lovely ball in, and Jake Gleason comes out. Braun just gets the touch beyond them.
Blair Gavin to give away. Braun gets his brace just 1 minute later. This made it 3-0 in the 34th.
Yeah, it was in that period where it really killed the game. The game was done after this goal. You could tell the heads were hung after for T2 players. And Braun, what a night he had. I thought him and Lopez were stand-up performers for Sacramento Republic.
Wanted his hat trick in the second half. Jake Gleason made was probably his best save of the match to that point. Dyron Espria put a header wide as T2 was searching for a goal late in the second half, but never really threatened Dominic Jokebeck after halftime. And 3-0 the final, as Janderson had one last go, maybe the last half-quarter chance of the home slate for T2. With the loss, T2 falls to 10-15-2, 32 points with one match to play. That will be on Wednesday, a 7:30 start down in Los Angeles against LA Galaxy 2. You can watch that match right here on Timbers2.com. For Sacramento Republic, the win moves them to 13-8-5, 44 points, 2 matches left. Wednesday at OC Blues, Saturday versus Arizona United. If they win both of those, they will win the USL Western Conference. They will have home field advantage throughout the Western Conference playoffs at least, and that's so important for a team that sells out every match and draws over 11,000 fans a game. Quite an atmosphere down in Sacramento. You know they're motivated to bring the playoffs to their home fans. Well, for everybody who has helped make these broadcasts possible all season long, both here and at Merlot Field, we thank you so much for tuning in to the inaugural season of Portland Timbers 2. There were highs, there were lows, some really spectacular moments as well. Didn't end at home, at least, on the note that T2 wanted it to, but the season will be remembered for the special moments for sure. For Ross Smith, I'm Jake Zimmerman. Thanks so much for watching tonight. Final score, Sacramento Republic 3, Portland Timbers 2-0. Have a great night.